On this week's episode, we go to the Guadalupe River and take a death-defying paddle down the rapids.
Death-defying?
Then we head down to San Antonio to eat great food and explore the historic Mission Trail.
Let me guess, that was death-defying too.
Hi, that was Tandy, and I'm John. We're two retirees that are hiking, paddling, and defying death all across America, one short trip at a time. Come join us on our road trips of unusual size. Our first trip this week took us about 30 minutes north of San Antonio to the Guadalupe River State Park. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that's pronounced Guadalupe, but you know, Guadalupe is kind of an Austin thing. Most people here just pronounce it Guadalupe. Anyway, the river was supposed to be beautiful for paddling and exploring, so we headed off to see it.
This hike was to serve two purposes. In addition to seeing this pretty place, we were scouting the river for our upcoming paddle. We knew that there would be some challenges and we wanted to check it out before we launched the kayak.
Well, because of the time of the year and the lack of the water, we were limited to less than a mile of the river that we'd be able to paddle. But we could tell that this was going to be the trickiest spot. The water was running much faster here. There were lots of rocks in the water. We needed a strategy.
We named this spot the Deadly Rapids. That little gap would be the only way to get through here. Water really squeezes through swiftly, and then there's a big rock just on the downstream side. So we'd need to pop through and then steer hard to the right.
Okay, here's our launching spot on the very north end of the state park. There's actually a very pretty cypress tree right at that spot. Good landmark. Oh, and speaking of deadly, we did see a huge snake right at the beginning of our paddle.
There's the Deadly Rapids coming up. In the spring months, there would certainly be deeper water here, and this spot would be more easily navigated. But regardless, here we go.
Okay, this was somewhat of an experiment. Given the relatively quiet state of the Deadly Rapids, we decided to see if it was possible to actually paddle upstream through there. But there was a lot more force going through there than we expected, so we had to portage the boat to bypass that little gap.
Wow, that was a fun paddle. It was short, but it was action-packed and just a beautiful section of the Guadalupe River.
You know, we'd been to San Antonio several times and had seen most of the big sights, but we had never explored all the missions here. We'd seen the Alamo, of course, but there are a handful of other historic missions in the city. These missions were all within 8 miles of each other and played a huge part in San Antonio's history and in Texas history. These missions are now designated as a World Heritage Site, and we joined an excellent small tour that let us explore and learn about this important part of Texas history.
If you're interested in that Missions World Heritage Tour, the ROUSes recommend San Antonio Detours. And here's their contact information.
What's up for next week? Well, our time in this part of Texas is almost up. But next week, we will visit the western edge of the hill country, looking at the leaves as they change color. It should be great. Come join us.